That's for sure. But we'll hear it. We'll hear it any second now. We're going to try to get through the medical examiner this week. We are already on June 7th, which is crazy because I feel like yesterday we were in May, hoping to get to June, and now we are on June 7th. So, you know what that means. That means very shortly the A team comes back up to play. We have to get through the medical examiner first. Here we go. Speed is good.
Wait, have you microscopically examined this tissue sample?
Yes.
And what, if any, significant findings did you make from that observation?
It was an acute means fresh contusion of the brain with hemorrhage.
What is the significance, if any, of the finding that it is an acute hemorrhage?
It could occur it occurred immediately after the injury, but it can be observable as early as a minute.
A minute after the injury was inflicted?
Yes.
So if the person lived a minute with blood pressure, that the injury could get to a condition where it can be seen as it is in this photograph?
Yes.
And then the person could be dead?
That's correct.
I'm not saying from this injury, but is this injury, in your opinion, a fatal injury?
No,
Why not?
because it's a single contusion to the brain, but it is a mark of an injury.
What does that mean?
That is, you could have this injury as part of the head injury which Ms. Simpson sustained when the contusion to the brain was, the contusion to the scalp, skin was sustained on the right side of the head. And by itself is a marker. By itself, you can't call it a fatal injury because it's only a small portion of the brain which is injured. But it could be this could be associated with a concussion syndrome, number one. It could cause seizures sometimes, but by itself, you cannot say it can cause death, like you can say with a stab wound or a sharp force injury.
In order to gain context for that injury, what are you going to have to look for?
We need to know which side it was from, and Dr. Golden's report indicates that it was from the right side underlying the contusion, underlying the contusion of the skin.
We're going to get into that in a moment in more detail. But first, when a contusion to the brain is observed at autopsy, would it be the custom and practice in your office to retain that sample of brain tissue?
Yes.
In retaining that sample of brain tissue, would the forensic pathologist be expected to cut it in a fashion so that the entire area of the contusion is preserved?
Yes.
From your observation on June 22nd, your observation of this photograph, and your microscopic examination, let me finish the question, please, doctor. From your examination microscopically, can you determine whether all of the contusion in this area of Nicole Brown Simpson's brain was excised at autopsy?
The photograph we took was on the 30th. The margins of the area we saw of the brain cortex did show hemorrhage in the margin, so I can't say with certainty whether the contusion which was seen was the extent of the contusion or there was any residual contusion which was left in the brain when this portion was resected.
For a little more clarity, at least for me, is this photograph E33 a fair and accurate representation of the tissue as you saw it with Dr. Bodden and Dr. Wolf on June 22nd?
This photograph was taken on June 30th.
I understand that. My question, though, is irrespective of the difference in dates, is the photograph a fair and accurate representation of the tissue as you saw it on the 22nd?
No, because we took a section for microscopic study, so the photograph we have reflects the injury, but I cannot say with certainty that it reflects the state of the contusion we saw it on the 22nd, because we didn't take photographs on the 22nd.
You did not take photographs on the 22nd?
That's correct.
But did you, on or after the 22nd and before the 30th, take a sample of that tissue in order to prepare one or more microscopic slides?
It was done on the 30th.
All right, and that was done before this photograph was taken?
A section was taken and this contusion was photographed at the same time.
Well, was the photograph taken, I mean, we don't see anything in the form of a cutting device in this photograph.
No, so if we have additional photographs, we show the section we photographed also.
All right, do you have a photograph which shows the section before any cutting or microscopic examination was performed?
I have to see my photograph whether we have additional photographs.
Can we have a moment for the doctor to do that, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Doctor, go ahead.
Although at this point we might as well take a break.
Well, I'll get a few more minutes. And Doctor, why don't you come back here?
No, we
can
just
talk more, and
started.
you'll have a
No.
chance to report over the noon hour. Doctor, the kind of brain tissue that is represented in photograph B33 is what kind?
It's the cerebral cortex.
What is the cerebral cortex?
It is the outer surface of the brain.
And is it localized in certain areas of the brain?
It's mainly on the surface of the brain and all the lobes of the brain. You have the same appearance of the grossly of the brain tissue.
Did you examine this tissue sample to try and determine with greater specificity what part of the brain it could have come from?
Yes, I did a microscopic study. I examined the microscopic sections which were submitted, and microscopically there was evidence of the internal granular layer. The brain cortex has several layers, and there's an internal granular layer present which would go along with it being from the parietal or temporal lobe of the brain.
Would you show us, please, this is from, well, let me start this way. Can you determine from examination of the tissue sample what side of the brain, right or left side, parietal temporal area, that tissue comes from?
You cannot tell the side.
Can you tell it in any fashion by either gross examination or microscopic examination?
Not from a small sample like this, you cannot tell. But microscopically, you cannot tell the side either.
Would you now, let's assume for just the sake of argument, it's the right side. Would you turn to the right side for the jury to view and point out the area or areas
Shapiro.
from which this tissue sample would be
Always Shapiro.
consistent?
From this parietal area or temporal area. Actually, I'm showing the outside of the head. The brain has got a specific structure on the inside. It's just a rough demonstration of the anatomical location in the brain. Parietal area here and temporal area here.
Your Honor, for the record, Dr. Lakshmanan, turning to face the jury with profile to the right side, has circled with his finger the area just immediately in front of and slightly above the right top of the ear as the temporal area. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes.
And the parietal area you circled, if you could do that one more time, was an area that's directly above the first area that I just described and circles a larger area of the, starting to get to the top of the head.
Yes.
And Doctor, obviously there's no way that you can show us with your brain because it's, I assume, safely encased within your skull.
At this time, yes.
At this time. We'll try and keep in that condition. Can I have one moment, Your Honor, with one diagram?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is going to be board 5B of our set 349. And Mr. Lynch, while counsel and the doctors are moving to flip to a Form 29. Doctor, this Form 29, is this the form that was available for Dr. Golden during the course of the autopsy of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
And does this, in schematic form, show the brain?
Yes.
Can you show us on this form these areas that could be the areas from which the sample of brain tissue seen in photograph B33 originated?
Yes. For that, I've discussed briefly the anatomic description here.
Your Honor, will you give me a few more minutes?
Yes.
Doctor, we'll do so then.
This is the side view of the brain. This is what we call as the cerebrum, C-E-R-E-B-R-U-M, and this is a portion of the brain called the cerebellum, C-E-R-E-B-E-L-L-U-M, and you have the smaller structure here, which is the brain stem. The anatomical regions, parietal, temporal lobes, which we were discussing, refers to this part of the cerebrum. The brain, as you know, has convolutions on the surface, and it is basically divided into a frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. So the parietal lobe is somewhere this area, and the temporal lobe is this area of the brain.
Doctor,
And
before you go further, just briefly, so I can mark in where I'm going to put F for frontal,
P for parietal.
P for parietal, T for temporal,
And occipital.
and O for occipital
Yes.
on the lower right-hand schematic.
So this is what I refer to when I said parietal temporal area, and this is what I refer to when I said that
As fascinating as this is, this trial has already been going on for months and months and months, and these jurors want to go home. And this is way too much information. Absolutely way too much information. Sorry. They just said she got hit here. That would be way, way more than enough.
microscopically there was internal granular layer present on the layers of the cortex.
Oops.
Because the layers of the cortex have 6 layers. The frontal lobe of the brain usually doesn't have the granular layer, and it's usually agranular cortex. So that's how I can say it's from the parieto-temporal area. The occipital lobe has different types of, it has also some different layers, but they're different appearance. So just microscopically, I could favor that this being from the parieto-temporal area.
And doctor, is this schematic showing the right side of the brain?
Yes.
And is the diagram directly above it the reverse showing the left side of the brain?
Yes, and this diagram shows the top part of the brain as you're looking at the brain from the above, and this is the lower part of the brain showing the brain when you're looking at it from the bottom. The brain is turned upside down, and you have the cerebellum here, brainstem here, and this is the rest of the brain. And this part of the brain is the undersurface of the frontal portion of the brain, the F part. This is the undersurface of the temporal lobe, which is the T part here. The same thing.
Your Honor, during the recess, I'll mark what has been done and ask that it be reflected on the record at the afternoon start of the trial.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the morning session. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Do not conduct any deliberations amongst yourselves until the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. We'll stand in recess until 1 o'clock. The defendants again present before the court. All parties are present. Mr. Cochran?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your Honor, I would like to bring a matter to your attention. It's been brought to my attention that from calling my office and from talking to a number of people that the camera has apparently been pretty much fixated on Mr. Simpson during these proceedings. And
Oh, my ass.
that's apparently
My ass.
different than what normally happens.
Enough. Enough. Come on. Somebody stop me. I was about to jump through this monitor and strangle. You're not allowed to strangle, though. And I can't because I just can't. But what? Come on.
And I'm concerned about that. I think it's unfair. This is a very emotional time for him. To have the camera on him every second is just quite unfair.
It's a murder trial.
I'm not sure what the court can do about it, but I would certainly appeal to the good judgment and the sense of fairness of those who operate the camera to use the camera as you normally use it and put it on the lawyer and the witness as opposed to fixating on Mr. Simpson, Your Honor.
Well, we have one practical difficulty in that I've directed them not to photograph or video any of the victims in the matter, so that limits their ability to move around, especially when Mr. Kalberg is working with any of the, with Chart 352 and the other charts that contain crime scene photos. So I understand your position, and we'll have to trust the good taste and judgment of the directors upstairs for Court TV.
Thank you. Please do that. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kalberg, any other comment?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I might add that I found distracting the contortions of some members of the audience, and if it continues to be distracting, those persons will be asked to leave the courtroom. Also, people appear to have forgotten about the no gum chewing or eating in the courtroom, and I have 6 people on videotape from this morning's session that are going to be excluded from all further sessions. All right, let's proceed. Let's have the jury. Dr. Lakshmanan, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right, good afternoon again, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
You were reminded, sir, you were still under oath, and Mr. Kalberg, you may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your
Yes.
Honor. I'm glad Dr. Lakshmanan agrees that I may continue with my direct.
Good.
Doctor, over the lunch hour, and perhaps you can step to the board, do we have an opportunity to complete a generalized description of the areas of the brain on this Form 29 from the big blow-up that is a part of our Exhibit 349, excuse me.
Yes.
And Doctor, does each of the entries that have been made in my handwriting or printing accurately reflect what is described by the entry made?
Yes.
And basically, does it accurately summarize what you told us this morning regarding the various structures and locations of the brain?
Yes.
The only word that I did not indicate anywhere is the word cerebrum, and you were talking about the cerebral cortex. That covers the entire area of the occipital, parietal, frontal, and temporal lobes as we see it on the 2 right side, left and right side depictions of the brain.
Yes, the cerebrum includes all the 4 lobes we alluded to.
And I didn't want to write that in because I think it's getting a bit crowded in that chart. There is also, I think you testified yesterday regarding the material, that horizontal running schematic that we have written in the word spinal cord. And does that accurately reflect what that diagram or schematic is intended to reflect?
Yes.
While we're up here, and yesterday I asked you about one of the mistakes of Dr. Golden involving this contusion to the brain that is seen in photograph B33 of exhibit 354, I believe it is.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 352.
Yes.
Now, doctor, let me circle. In fact, if I could get a blue marker. For the record, Your Honor, with a blue marker, I've outlined what appears to be two handwritten words in the middle of Form 29. Doctor, are you familiar with what's written there?
Yes.
Was that written by Dr. Golden?
Yes.
And what does that reflect?
No injuries.
And in the course and practice of the forensic pathologist conducting an autopsy and using this form, would you expect the doctor, having examined the brain as you expect the doctor to do so, to make an entry if, in fact, the doctor observes no injuries in the area depicted by this diagram?
Yes, I mean, this kind of entry is made only after examining the brain.
And do you interpret for your use in forming opinions from the entry of no injuries that Dr. Golden, at the time of the original autopsy, felt that there were no injuries observed by him in the areas of the brain depicted in these schematic drawings?
That would be my conclusion.
You have to keep your voice up,
That
please.
would be my conclusion.
Doctor, there is also a similar entry that appears at the very bottom. And if I might, Your Honor, for the no injuries that I just circled, I'm going to make a line and write B33 to reflect the photograph that we're talking about. And then I'm also going to outline in blue at the bottom this second entry that seems to say no injuries as well. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes.
And you interpret that to reflect no injuries observed with respect to what area of the body?
The spinal cord.
I'm sorry, keep your
The
voice.
spinal cord.
Now, Doctor, you indicated yesterday, I believe, that Dr. Golden addressed this contusion in an addendum. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if we could ask Mr. Lynch to set up our other easel, so we can put, I'll get the board if you'll set up the easel. And this is board 8B as in boy, Your Honor. Now, Doctor, I want to invite your attention to page 2 of the addendum that has this date handwritten in of July 1, 1994. This is Dr. Golden's addendum in the case of Nicole Brown Simpson. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does this page reflect an entry by Dr. Golden regarding this brain contusion that you saw in the photograph B33?
Yes.
Would you identify it for us, please?
This is item 1. On June 30th, I was present when we examined the tissue jar again, at which point I did show him the cerebral cortex with the contusion, and we took photographs, and a section was submitted for microscopic examination.
Now, Doctor, you indicated that you observed this contusion initially when you examined the tissue in the presence of Drs. Baden and Wolf on June 22nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you speak with Dr. Golden at some time after that observation of June 22nd, before the time that this addendum got even drafted in a rough form?
Yes.
When approximately did you speak to him?
I don't recall the exact date, but when I saw that there was a contusion to the brain, which he had not addressed in his original report, I brought it to his attention, at which point he was already planning to do an addendum anyway because of the other injuries which were not addressed, which were seen in the photographs. So at my direction, an addendum was prepared.
And did you give instructions to Dr. Golden as to whether or not you expected any addendum prepared by him to include reference to this brain contusion?
Yes, I did.
And Doctor, is this part that you've just outlined on page 2 of the addendum report to reflect what you were talking about when we were looking at the photograph? That is a section on June 30th of 1994, a section of that contused area of the brain was cut in order to provide for microscopic examination.
My
Now, for the record,
coworker!
I'm going to outline in blue.
My coworker is here! And my alarm went off. Hi, coworker! Look, I'm all... Because with Michael comes Victoria, and you know, she makes me all, you know. Michael, how the heck are you? I haven't seen you in a long time, Michael. It's like, I don't know, you're working or something. Or you just don't like court videos, which is just crazy. That's just crazy talk. But I'm glad you're here. But there's another Michael that I'm missing too. I wish he would come in. But tell your wife that I love her, and if you ever mess up, I'm marrying her. If you ever mess up even a little bit, I'm marrying your wife. The second she has a frowny face. Yep. We're gonna move in with Josh. It's gonna be one humongously big, happy family. I hope that the sheriff's office treats you nice today. That's all I hope. That's all I want for today.
On page 2 of the addendum, the material referred to by Dr. Lakshmana, and I'll write again B33. Thank you. Doctor, before we leave this entry, the last line of that paragraph says, my recollection is that the above section was from the right parietotemporal region. Are you familiar with how that came about?
I asked him where he, when he saw the contusion, I asked him which side was of the brain was it from and the region, and he indicated that he recollects that it was from the right parietotemporal area.
Now, doctor, is there any way, you testified, I believe this morning, that there was no way from a scientific standpoint of looking at that tissue to distinguish whether it came from the right side from the parietal temporal area or from the left side of the parietal temporal area. Is that an accurate recitation of your morning testimony?
That is correct.
And short of Dr. Golden's memory being accurate, is there any way that you can confirm or refute that recollection?
I can do neither.
You have to keep your voice up, please.
I can do neither.
If we can flip briefly, Mr. Lynch, on the addendum blow-up. Now we're looking at a document on a Form 14 that is titled Microscopic Description, and it appears to be dated July 7, 1994. Are you familiar with this document, Doctor?
Yes.
What is this?
This is a microscopic examination report on the examination of the contusion done by Dr. Golden.
Did you direct that he do that, that is, make a microscopic examination?
Yes, because when we had the injury examined on June 30th, I discussed with him that we should do a microscopic exam, and that is why a section was submitted and a report has been generated to document this injury.
Did you tell him that you wanted a report generated?
Yes.
Did you, however, independently examine microscopically the tissue section that was removed?
Yes, I did.
Is your opinion as to what it shows the same or different from what Dr. Golden indicates in this Form 14 report?
My conclusion is that it is an acute cerebrocortical contusion.
And when you say acute, in the sense that you described it earlier this morning?
Yes.
Now,
I described the contusion of the scalp and also the contusion of the brain, but I
Keep
gave
it-
the timing for the scalp.
all right, if you'll keep your voice up, you said you gave the timing only for the scalp contusion?
Yes.
All right, is there any difference in timing when you use the term acute to reflect the brain contusion rather than the scalp contusion?
Well, here we have a microscopic section available. In the scalp, we did not have a microscopic section available. So this makes it easier to date an injury than just looking at it grossly.
And dating, in this sense, means what when the interpretation is that it's an acute contusion to the brain?
Dating means you try to see how old the injury is since the injury was inflicted. An acute cerebrocortical contusion means that this injury could have occurred soon after the injury, and though the bruising of the brain occurred at the time of injury, you can perceive it grossly, that is on naked eye examination, within a minute, and microscopically also, that's what it reflects. So this contusion could be as early as 1 minute, and could be several hours old also.
If you will recall my hypothetical question with respect to the perpetrator striking Nicole Brown Simpson on the scalp with either a closed fist or the rounded end of a knife, and then moving to the area where Mr. Goldman was, and then returning before inflicting the major stab incised wound, and you gave answers regarding that hypothetical set of circumstances, would your answers be the same with respect to that hypothetical as applied to the brain contusion?
Yes.
Now, doctor, is it a mistake of Dr. Golden's, number one, to have not identified that brain contusion at original autopsy?
Yes.
And is it a mistake of Dr. Golden's to have written on Form 29 that there were no injuries to the brain, given what you saw in the tissue sample seen in photograph B33?
Yes.
And is it a mistake of Dr. Golden's not to have diagrammed on Form 29 an area where this brain contusion actually was.
Yes.
Doctor, taking into account all of these mistakes by Dr. Golden, do any or all together have any significance to you in addressing any of the issues that we asked you about and about which you have been testifying?
No.
Why not?
Because it didn't cause death. The cause of death was the sharp force injuries, which I already discussed, the big wound to the neck, the 4 stab wounds. But it is a brain injury which is important to be documented, but it didn't play a part in the cause of death.
Now, doctor, over the lunch hour, did you have an opportunity to examine your photographs to attempt to refresh your memory as to whether or not our B33 photograph reflects the tissue, the brain tissue sample before there was a section taken out for microscopic exam or after?
It was a photograph, B33 is a photograph of the brain contusion before the microscopic section was taken. And you can see that is also indicated in the previous speech.
All right, the addendum, page 2.
Yes.
Incidentally, before Mr. Lynch flips it, let me write in the blue on the microscopic description. I'll write B33 on that page.
Paragraph 1, line 4, the initial specimen as well as the representative section was photographed.
Now, if we could briefly put the photograph back up and leave the the schematic and the addendum. And we're looking again, Doctor, at photograph B33. Give counsel and the doctors an opportunity to position themselves. This photograph now, Doctor, your independent memory is a picture of the whole sample. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I want to go back to the question or questions that I was asking this morning about when a forensic pathologist sees a brain contusion, would you expect the pathologist to excise the entire area of the brain contusion?
If it is a smaller contusion, yes. But if it's a larger contusion, you describe the dimensions of the contusion, photograph it if necessary, then take a section of a portion of the contusion in conjunction with a normal piece of brain tissue so that you can study it well.
Would you describe the contusion that you believe was sustained by Nicole Brown Simpson, as reflected in this sample, as a small contusion?
Yes.
As a result of that belief, Doctor, would you have expected Dr. Golden to take out the entire section of brain tissue with the contusion in it?
If you had observed it, yes.
And if that had been done, would you expect to see around the margin or outside portion of the brain tissue an area of normal brain tissue so that you would know that you're seeing the entire contused area in that sample?
Yes.
In the photograph B33, is that in fact what you see?
No, you can see the contusion coming to the margin.
And as a result of that, are you able to say how much more extensive, if at all, that brain contusion was than from what you can see in the photograph B33?
I cannot say how much more it was.
But if it had been significantly more, would you expect to see on the photographic review of the head area of Nicole Brown Simpson some evidence to reflect that the brain contusion had in fact been sustained?
You cannot make that kind of judgment by looking at the external photographs. You need to see photographs of the brain itself in entirety to make that kind of judgment.
I was talking about the scalp, for example.
Okay.
Can you look at the photographs showing the scalp to get some idea whether any additional area of contusion was significant or not if it had not been retained at the time of autopsy in the sample taken?
You can't do it from the scalp photograph.
So basically, doctor, on what basis then, if any, are you able to say that that's a small contusion?
Well, you could see the other margins of the contusion which was there when I saw it. It's about 1 centimeter by 4 millimeters.
A centimeter is a centimeter?
Yes,
Which
that's
is
about less than half an inch. And by 4 millimeters, which is 1/5
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Less than 1/5 of an inch.
Be
And,
good.
Based on my experience, when you see a contusion of this size, generally it's not a large contusion, even if a portion of it is not available for review.
I want to go back now to the diagrams. We'll take this down for a moment. And doctor, I want to focus on this last line of the addendum opinion regarding Dr. Golden's recollection of the location of the brain tissue with the contusion. Are you familiar with something called a COUP, C-O-U-P type injury?
Yes.
What is that?
It is the term used to describe a brain injury which is on the same side of a surface injury in the scalp or skull at the point where the skull or scalp injury is. That would be a cool type of injury that is in the same location underlying the scalp and skull injury.
Now, given what Dr. Golden has had transcribed in that paragraph as to his recollection, and let me, I'm sorry to put this back up so quickly, but just very briefly to go back to B20, I believe it is, the scalp contusion.
Yes.
Now, if Dr. Golden's recollection is correct, that's fine. If his recollection is correct that it's from the right parieto-temporal region, where would that be in relationship to the contused area of the scalp seen in photograph B20 on the right side of the head?
It would be in the same vicinity in the brain underlying this contusion.
If that is an accurate recollection, and that means therefore that it is the circumstance you've just described, would that have any bearing in forming an opinion as to whether a coup-type injury had occurred?
That would be consistent with that kind of diagnosis of coup-type injury to the brain.
How is a coup-type injury inflicted that would leave a contusion to the scalp and a contusion to the brain?
If you have a non-mobile head and if somebody strikes you on the head, you can have a contusion to the scalp, and the forces which causes the contusion to the scalp can cause the contusion to the brain also.
And if that occurs by, you said, an immobile head,
Yes,
meaning it's stationary?
yes.
And
But you could also have a non-mobile head, but it's more common with a non-mobile head. That is
I'm sorry.
non-moving head. Non-moving head. That would be a simpler term to use.
I think we have two non-moving heads. I'm trying to clarify in my own mind. The way that this can occur, the most common way involves the head not moving at the time the head is struck in some fashion.
Yes,
And, for example, could be struck by a closed fist
yes,
or by the rounded end of a knife.
yes,
And when that occurs, then you can have injury that will be seen both to the scalp and to the underlying brain that is on the same side as the scalp injury.
yes. And the force should be considerable force.
And is there another way that is a common way that a coup-type injury can be inflicted?
No, usually the coup injury is underlying the area of impact, and the area of impact could be a direct impact, or the coup injury is always from a direct impact, underlying the area of direct impact.
All right, a direct impact to, in this case, the head.
Head on the right side, because the contusion, as Dr. Golden recollects, was on the right side of the brain.
Now, doctor, are you familiar with something called a contra-coup type injury, C-O-U-N-T-R-E? Actually, I think I got a U in there that's not entitled to credit. C-O-N-T-R-E-C-O-U-P injury.
Yes.
And what is that kind of injury?
That injury occurs in an area of the brain opposite the area of impact to the skull or the scalp.
So using, for example, the right side of the head, B20 contusion, as the area where there has been force applied, for example, by a closed fist or by the rounded end of a knife. If this were a contra-coup injury, where on the brain, if anywhere, would you expect to see a contusion?
In the hypothetical situation you just raised, wherein the right side of the head was struck by base of a knife or a fist, that could cause a contra-coup injury if the head was not mobile and fixed. But then you'd also expect to see a coup injury associated with it. If the head had been pushed against a smooth surfaced object and the right side of the head had sustained this contusion, so now the situation is a little different. You have a moving head which is striking a fixed object, then you could have a contra-coup injury diametrically opposite to the area of initial impact on the other side of the brain, which would be the left side of the brain.
So in the hypothetical that I raised initially, you could actually end up with both a coup-type injury and a contra-coup type injury?
Assuming that this direct impact with the base of the knife or the fist, as you postulated, occurred with a non-mobile head.
Now, in the third circumstance that you're indicating,
And again, you must use considerable force when this injury occurred.
what do you mean by considerable force?
The force was not just somebody hitting like this, but a good punch or a good forcible striking of the head.
Well, when you say considerable force, and it wasn't like this, you took your fist, your left-handed fisted hand, and I'm not sure if you even touched the side of your head.
No, but I don't want to hurt myself.
I'm sure you don't, doctor. But can you give us some indication as to the degree of force that's required?
Well, like a knockout punch,
A knockout punch?
yes, which you see in the boxing matches when somebody hits and somebody gets knocked out. That is a good considerable force punch, which has which will cause a coup and a contra coup type injury on a non-mobile head.
Now to the third situation of a pure contra coup type injury. Is the head moving?
Yes, the head is moving, it strikes an area, and the brain opposite the area where the head has struck gets the contra coup injury.
In your visits to the 875 Bundy location, did you find environmental source or sources against which a moving head of Nicole Brown Simpson could have been struck in the area of the right side of the head shown in B20 to create a contra coup injury, that is, with the scalp contusion seen on the right side, but a brain contusion seen on the left side?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustain.
Doctor, hypothetically, let me withdraw the question. First of all, were you able to find smooth type surfaces at the Bundy location which would be of a type that if a moving head were forced against such a surface, a contra coup injury could have been inflicted?
Yes.
Objection, no foundation. Motion is strike.
Overruled.
You may answer the question.
Yes,
What surface or surfaces did you examine that would be consistent with that?
we had a side railing which had a rounded end. We also had evidence of side railing on the next to the wall, which has posts in it, metal posts. And if you have a photograph, I can show you the areas.
All right, before I get to a photograph, those types of surfaces would be consistent with creating a contra coup injury if the head of Nicole Brown Simpson had been forced against one or more of them?
Yes, but the reason I have to emphasize the smooth surface is the scalp contusion doesn't have any abrasion on it. It is a smooth, so it has to be a smooth surfaced area where the head impacted.
And doctor, in your examination of the surfaces at 875 Bundy, did you examine railings and fences, metal fences, and the paint surface to look to see whether the surfaces were all smooth or there were rough spots in any of the surfaces?
Yes.
Objection, no foundation.
Overruled.
You may
Yes,
ask.
yes.
What were your findings?
We had evidence of a tree there with a rough bark surface. We had some plants which had been pruned, and we had stumps of or stalks of the stems of the plant still in place in the ground. We
Doctor,
had-
I'm not sure that's responsive to my question because my question was dealing with the painted surfaces.
Give me a motion to strike.
Yes, choice to disregard the last answer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The painted surfaces of any of the metal posts and so forth, did you examine those?
Yes.
And what were your findings with respect to smoothness versus roughness?
Your Honor, again, there's no foundation as to when this is answered to the question.
Overruled.
You may answer the question, Doctor.
This was the painted surfaces of the railings and the gate and the side railing also.
And what were your findings with respect?
There was smooth areas, there was also some irregular areas, but there were smooth areas to the metal railing.
And irregular areas would be the same as rough areas?
Yes.
And if the head is forced against a rough area, what would you expect to see if something different than, for example, the contusion identified in B20?
You would expect to see an abrasion contusion. You would expect to see a scraping of the skin in addition to the bruising.
And where within the contusion would you expect to see the area of the abrasion?
It would be on the area overlying the contusion.
And you see no such area shown in the scalp contusion identified in photograph B20?
Yes, the only abrasion I see is the postmortem abrasion on a portion of the bruise, which was from the shaving of the scalp.
Can you show us what you mean by the post-mortem abrasion?
It's right here on the upper part here, a little bit because of the shaving, but the contusion itself doesn't, it is not an antemortem abrasion.
For the record, Your Honor, on photograph B20, Dr. Lakshmanan pointed to the top of the discoloration area that's depicted.
Thank you.
And Doctor, is it a relatively common matter that when the head is shaved at the coroner's office, that such post-mortem after-death abrasions can be created?
I won't say common, but it does happen.
And is it something for which you are trained to be able to differentiate between a post-mortem abrasion from shaving from what was an abrasion inflicted while the person was alive?
Yes,
And on what basis do you differentiate in this photograph that circumstance?
basically the appearance.
What about the appearance?
It's very superficial, and it's from a shop like a scalpel blade which has done it.
Now, Doctor,
And I used a magnifying glass when I did that examination.
Doctor, in the circumstance of a coup injury, Dr. Golden's recollection then would place that brain injury that's seen in B33 under the scalp contusion seen in B20?
in the same vicinity.
Is there any way that you can distinguish whether this brain contusion was the product of a coup injury from a blow to an immobile head from either a fist or a rounded end of the knife, or a contra coup injury from the head in the area of the scalp contusion being forced against a smooth surface that was stationary?
I can't.
The fact that you cannot distinguish whether this is a coup or a contra coup type injury that is the brain contusion, in your opinion, is that significant in your ability to answer any of the questions that have been posed to you?
Objection. It calls for a conclusion.
You may answer the question, Doctor.
No,
Why not?
because as I already mentioned, the fatal injuries to Ms. Brown Simpson were the stab wounds and the large slash wound to the neck. And this contusion occurred before that, so she was alive when this contusion occurred. So it has no significance as far as the cause of death goes, or describing or explaining the major injuries, explaining the bleeding pattern, explaining whether it's a single-edged knife or a double-edged knife. I give an opinion on that. So really, it's not affected the big picture.
But it would affect your ability to give a more definitive opinion as to the exact manner in which that brain contusion was inflicted.
That is correct.
I think we're done with, let's put it down for just a moment if I could. I think we're going to go back to the blow-ups. Doctor, I want to invite your attention to one of the other blow-up diagrams from our 349 collection. In general terms, Doctor, would this diagram be useful to diagram any injury to the skull that may have been received?
Not skull, scalp.
All right, so this is a diagram that would be used solely for the scalp?
Yes, but if there is any skull injury or a fracture, they could use the same diagram on the left side. On the right side, it's used to diagram the scalp injury.
And I want to talk only about the left side. And on the left side, do you see any entry made by Dr. Golden to reflect an observation of any injury to the skull?
No.
Now, if Mr. Lynch could...
And those last questions were directed towards chart 20F.
Thank you, Your Honor. On the same poster board, but now 20G, and I think there were two 20Gs, so this is the one that appears to have outlines of the neck and top of the head. Doctor, is this a form that Dr. Golden can use at the time of autopsy to identify any injury to the skull should he find such an injury?
Yes, on the lower part of the 20G, there's an area where you can diagram skull injury.
And is there any entry reflecting such a finding?
No.
Now if we could flip one more. Now, Doctor, a Form 20H, and again, I think there are two 20Hs, so this appears to be a diagram showing 4 different views of the human skull. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is this a diagram that can be used by Dr. Golden to indicate any observed injury to the skull of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
Do you find any entry made to reflect that there was any kind of sharp force injury resulting in penetration of the skull?
There is no record of any sharp force injury penetrating the skull, though an hemorrhage has been described underlying some injuries.
And we're going to get to those in a little bit when we look at some other photographs. Is that your reflection of your review?
Yes.
And if we, I'm not sure if there's one. Yes. And this is the second 20G, which appears to show a cutaway section of the human skull. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes.
And what is this a diagram that can also be used by Dr. Golden to reflect injuries observed to the skull of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
Does this diagram, in fact, have an entry in Dr. Golden's handwriting regarding his observations?
Yes.
What has he indicated?
He has indicated no internal injuries.
And what significance, if any, does that have to you?
That he did not find any internal injuries such as fractures, which may not be visible on the outside, because you could have what is called inner table fractures, and they are not seen either. So that's what he has indicated in this.
What is the inner table?
The skull has got two tables. You have the inner table and the outer table, and in between is what's called the diplo, D-I-P-L-O-E, part of the skull, and where the vascular channels of the skull traverse. So this is the inner part of the skull cap, and this is the base of the skull on the inside. So no internal injuries means no internal fractures. So the inner table was documented.
Doctor, if there had been a portion of a knife blade which penetrated the skull and had broken off in the skull, would you expect Dr. Golden to have identified that on this form?
You would have, if he had seen it, he would have identified it.
Objection calls for speculation. It's already admitted concluding.
Your Honor.
Forward.
Your answer, I'm sorry, Doctor.
If he had seen it, he would have documented it.
I think we're done with this charge. Going back to our exhibit 352. Doctor, is there anything else that you want to bring to our attention regarding your examination and observations of either the scalp contusion seen in B20 or the contusion to the brain seen in B33? I'd like to move then to the series of photographs that are to the left of the right side of the head B20 and look at photographs B23, B24, and B26.
Yes, we're going to do B23 first.
Let's start with B23. Doctor, what is shown in this particular photograph?
There are two areas of sharp force injury seen on the back, mid-back and right side of the head of Miss Simpson. The one which is on the right side of the back of the head is a linear sharp force injury, which is 3/8 of an inch in length in my measurement of the 1:1 photograph. And this is located about 2¼ inches behind the right ear canal, behind the right ear canal, 2¼ inches, and 3/4 of an inch above it. So it's somewhere 2¼ inches behind and 3/4 inches above this ear canal. This is the location of the injury, 3/8 of an inch in length.
Doctor, can you again turn to indicate the left side of your head towards the jury?
And right side of my head. This is the right side.
Okay. Then there's a label that's wrong.
Yes.
If the label says lower, middle, and left of back of head, the left is inaccurate?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, we'll correct that for the record and
Have next recess.
thank you. All right, Doctor, then if you'll turn to the right, would you point out the area where this first sharp force injury you identified in B23 is?
Somewhere here.
And Your Honor, for the record, the witness has basically pointed in an area above and behind by several inches the top of his right ear.
By several, how many? 5?
Can I get a ruler?
No, just tell me.
It's about 3/4 of an inch above the right ear canal and 2¼ inches behind the right ear canal in the core, so it's roughly in 10 corner.
Fine. That's a more accurate description.
I agree. Doctor, if you could hold that one, and is there any way you can show us simultaneously where the area of the scalp contusion was that we see in B20?
Here.
How about if you use my,
The sharp force injury which I just described is here, somewhere here, about 3/4 of an inch above the ear canal and 2¼ inches behind the ear canal. The contusion I described in the scalp is here.
and I think we described that contusion earlier, so I don't see any need for the record. Now, Doctor, the description that you've given of this first sharp force injury in B23, and for the record, it appears to be the sharp force injury which is closest to the vertically oriented blue measuring card. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you able to determine whether this is an incised wound or a stab wound or what?
This is an incised wound.
And in your opinion, is this injury a fatal wound?
No, it's a non-fatal wound.
In your opinion, would this injury have created any significant bleeding?
It would have caused some bleeding, but not significant.
In your opinion, does it play any significant role in the death
No.
of Nicole Brown Simpson?
No.
Are you able to determine from the appearance of that incised wound whether a single-edged knife could have inflicted it?
It could have been a single-edged knife
Why?
because it's just an incised wound, and I already said that any sharp instrument, either one edge of a knife can cause this incised wound.
And based on what you've told us earlier and the schematics that we've gone through, can you eliminate the possibility that a double-edged knife could have caused such an incised wound?
I cannot exclude that possibility.
Doctor, are you able to determine if this is a wound inflicted before death, that is, an ante-mortem wound?
It's an antemortem wound
How are you able to tell?
because of the hemorrhage in the tissues described in the report.
And that's Dr. Golden's report?
Yes.
Does he, in fact, in his original protocol, address this particular incised wound?
Yes, he does.
Does he diagram this particular incised wound anywhere in any of the available diagrams?
He does.
And is there any aspect of this incised wound addressed in the addendum?
No.
Is there, in your opinion, any reason why there should have been?
Yes.
Why?
Because my measurement using the 1:1 photograph is at 3/8 of an inch in length, but the real measurement he has given, the measurement he has given is 3/16 of an inch.
And why, in your opinion, does that require an entry in the addendum for this particular incised wound?
No, since we addressed all the any errors in measurement or if there's any, since I found an error in the measurement, I thought if it had been measured correctly, it should be reflected that in the.
In your
Excuse me,
opinion?
Mr. Keller, can we have the doctor keep his voice up, please? I'm having
Sure.
a hard time hearing him.
Sure. Doctor, in your opinion, was your measurement obtained by reviewing the life-size photographs one which was different from Dr. Golden's for reasons other than the limitations of the process of photographic measurement?
Yes.
And as such, is it your opinion that Dr. Golden made a mistake in measuring the dimensions of that wound?
Yes.
And as a result of feeling he made a mistake, you feel that if he looked at the photographs after the original autopsy protocol was prepared, that he should have addressed that error in his addendum?
If he had looked at the 1:1 photograph, yes.
And doctor, in your opinion, are any or all of these mistakes of any significance in evaluating any of the issues you've reviewed?
No.
Why not?
Because as I already told you, it doesn't affect the big picture of the cause of death, the major wounds I described already, the bleeding pattern, or my ability to tell whether it's a single edge or a double edged knife.
Whether his measurement is correct or your measurement is correct, the same single-edged knife that you described as being consistent with causing all of the sharp force injuries could have caused this incised wound?
Yes.
While we're here, let's take care of the second sharp force injury that appears to the left in the photograph B23 of the one you've just described. Tell us about that one, please.
This is a wound which is located in the lower back of the head, and in my measurement using the 1:1 photograph, I measured this wound to be 5/8 of an inch in length, and
I'm sorry, would you point to where, no, doctor, I want to focus, if we could, on this injury that's on the far left side. Is that the one you're talking about?
yes, it's the same injury which is better reflected on this photograph.
Okay, let's make that clear first then. Is B24 a close-up, if you will, of the injury which is seen on the left side of the photograph B23?
Yes.
Then let's focus on B24 if you feel that that's a better depiction of the sharp force injury. The measurement you obtained is,
5/8 of an inch.
and if you'll show us slowly with the pointer in what direction that is obtained.
The length was obtained in the 1:1 photograph from this forked end to this end here. So it measured 5/8 of an inch. The forked end was up to 1/4 inch in width, and this is the sharp end on the left side of the wound.
So as one looks at the photograph, the forked end is to the right side of the photograph of the wound,
Yes.
and the sharp end is to the left side.
Yes.
And the 5/8 runs from the forked end to the sharp end?
Yes.
Now, doctor, is this a stab wound, an incised wound, or what?
This is a fatal stab, non-fatal stab incised wound,
And on what basis do you have that opinion?
because the depth and the length on the wound surface is more like is longer than the depth, but the margin of the wound has some forking, so it could have been a kind of initial penetration component to the knife with either the movement of the head or the knife which created this and turning of the knife which created this forking, as well as the incision component to the wound.
So, if I understand correctly, initially there could have been a penetration of the scalp with the knife?
Yes, but either the head was moving or the knife was moving on the scalp with some twisting to cause the forked appearance of the wound with the knife being drawn to create this type of wound.
Doctor, is that the schematic number 3 that we saw in that chart that was up here yesterday afternoon?
Yes,
And given the depiction of a forked end and a sharp end, are you able to tell us whether a single-edged knife could have caused that particular sharp force injury?
a single-edged knife could have caused it.
And is it also fair to say that you cannot exclude from the appearance of the wound that a double-edged knife could have done so?
That is correct.
But is there any finding which in fact says that it was a double-edged knife and not a single-edged knife?
No.
Now, Doctor, I'm sorry, you wanted to add something?
Yes, the depth was, I said, 3/8 inch to half an inch, and the length on the wound surface is 5/8 of an inch. So, by definition, it should be an incise wound, but because of the appearance, we call it a stab/incise because of the explanation I've already given you.
Now, Doctor, why is this, in your opinion, a non-fatal sharp force injury?
Because it would cause some bleeding, but not significant bleeding to result in death.
In your opinion, is this also a wound that was received before death?
Yes,
So it's ante-mortem?
yes.
Is there any way medically that you can determine how long prior to death, at a minimum, that wound must have been inflicted?
Before death, could be a few minutes before death.
Can it be less than a few minutes?
It could be.
How few could it be?
It's a sharp force injury which has hemorrhage in the tissues. If you look at the diagram we just saw earlier, you can see the hemorrhage underlying, I'm sorry, not underlying this one, the other one. This hemorrhage could be as early as short as even as a minute before death.
Now, Doctor, is this sharp force injury seen in both 23 and 24 addressed by Dr. Golden in his original protocol?
Yes,
Is it diagrammed anywhere in any of the original diagrams provided?
yes,
Is it addressed in any fashion in Dr. Golden's addendum?
yes.
Why was there a need, if you believe there was a need, to address it in the addendum?
Because in the diagram, he diagrammed it as a half an inch long wound, but in the original report, it was transcribed as a 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch long wound, and also the depth was given as 1.5 inches, and this had to be corrected in the addendum.
Before we move to those protocol pages, diagrams, and addendums, is there anything else, something I wanted to ask? From either of these two sharp force injuries in B23, are you able to determine whether the perpetrator held the knife in the right hand or the left hand
I can't say which hand the knife was held.
with respect to either of those sharp force injuries?
Yes.
And is there anything about Dr. Golden's mistakes with respect to either of those two sharp force injuries that would have, had they not occurred, facilitated your ability to make that determination?
Could you repeat your question?
I'll try again. You have to keep your voice up, please, Doctor. Assuming Dr. Golden hadn't made the mistakes you identified with respect to these two sharp force injuries, would you have been better able to determine whether the person held the knife in the right hand or the left hand when these two sharp force injuries were received?
Even if he had accurately depicted them, it would not have made any difference in my ability to opine what I've already opined.
Is this simply one of the limitations of forensic pathology?
Yes.
Now, is there anything else you want to talk about with respect to the wounds themselves as seen in the photographs before we move to the protocol diagrams and addendum?
No.
Your Honor, we put up 0B board and 5B board.
All right,
From
we're going to be
349.
we're going to be taking our break at 2:15.
Thank you, Your Honor. Doctor, where in the original protocol does Dr. Golden address either the protocol, Doctor, not the diagrams?
It's
Keep your voice up, please.
it's in page number 6.
Let me just get my markers. Doctor, where on this page, let's start with the one on B23 that was more or less in the center of the photograph next to the vertically oriented measuring card.
Which one. There was
You want
one-
to look at the photograph real quickly? B23 is this one, and we're talking about that.
B23 is reflected in item 7 on page 6.
Your Honor, with the red marker, I'll outline that. And Mark, this is only seen in B23, correct, Doctor?
Yes. This is seen only in B23, yes.
All right. And according to this, the measurement was 3/16 of an inch in length
Yes,
and involved the skin only.
yes,
Is your measurement of that different than the 3/16?
yes.
What is your measurement from the life-size photograph?
3/8 of an inch.
Now, Doctor, where, if at all, in the diagram or diagrams was that particular wound identified?
Right here.
And this is on 20F, and with the red pen, well, and is there an entry for it?
Yes, it says 3/16 inch wound, tapered, and this is a bone.
Doctor, you got to keep your voice up. Remember that the reporter is behind you, so it's difficult to hear you. Your Honor, where Dr. Lakshmanan has indicated with the pointer, I'm circling the area on Form 20F, and I'm writing B23 in red.
Thank you.
And I'm going to need another red marker. This one is deceased. Thank you. Doctor, is this sharp force injury diagrammed anywhere else in any of the other diagrams?
Yeah.
Now, if we could then, this is not addressed in the addendum, is that correct?
No,
That is not correct?
it's not addressed in the addendum.
But should have been,
Yes.
given what you believe is an error.
If you have the opportunity to look at the 1:1 photographs and measure,
But it's based ultimately on your belief that there was an error made in the measurement.
that's correct.
Mr. Gelberg, Mr. Doctor, perhaps you could allow each other to finish asking the question before you start to answer, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I apologize, Your Honor. I'm just going to use a marker with a little more ink in it and write in the 23 on Form 20F in a little clearer fashion. Doctor, let's go to the second of the sharp force injury seen in B23, which is shown, as you said, in close-up on B24. Where is that addressed in the protocol?
That's item number 6 here.
All right, and I'll mark actually in blue, just to set it off a little better. And I'll write B24 and comma and B23. Now, Doctor, you mentioned something about how the measurement was reflected in the original protocol.
Yes.
Where is that within this paragraph 6? Do those measurements correlate with your measurement? But your measurement and Dr. Golden's diagram description of the measurement differ from what is actually in the transcription of the description of the measurement. And let's look at that if we could. Is there any other diagram that has any reference to that second sharp force injury from B23? All right. Put the
So when I got back, the cats were sitting on the keyboard, which closed my computer. So I don't know how the audio kept going, but it didn't shut down my computer, just took me to the lock screen and took my camera offline, which is fine because I wasn't here. But, you know, now it's okay. I know you didn't hear audio for a second right there, but look, it's back. Look, 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 look.
Doctor, on this first page, do you see the
Do you want me to
reflection in the
rewind it?
addendum
Ah,
of the
just
correction
kidding.
for that sharp force injury that's seen in both 23 and 24?
Yes. Actually, the correction is for photograph 24, and the wound for 23 and 24. It's number 1, page 6, line 4 and line 6.
And where you've just pointed, Doctor, I'll outline that in blue. and write B24, B23. And in essence, I'm sorry, you want to add something, Doctor?
And I said it can be attributed to limitation of process. This cannot be attributed to limitation of process because there is a 1/8 inch difference. I will find a little differently. It cannot be attributed to limitation of process, so there is a difference.
We'll back up and make sure we have that clear. Let's start with this first of all. The addendum change is to change what the measurements were as transcribed on page 6 of the protocol
Yes.
to the measurements that were written in on the Form 20F that we saw just a moment ago.
Yes.
Now you say that your measurement in some fashion, which differs from a measurement of Dr. Golden's as he diagrammed it and as he has corrected the report to reflect, differs in a way that you believe cannot be attributed
Yes.
to the limitation of the process?
Yes.
Explain.
Because he has diagrammed the wound length to be 1/2 inch.
Excuse me, Doctor, could you turn just slightly, because I don't think all the members of the jury can hear you.
He has diagrammed the injury to be 1/2 inch in length. In the gaping state of the photograph, in the 1:1 photograph, I measured it to be 5/8 of an inch, which is 1/8 inch more in the gaping state, which I cannot attribute to the limitation of the process of the gaping state.
If you recall, yesterday we had several photographs from a forensic pathology text shown on the overhead, and we've had them made as exhibits, that showed a gaping wound and then it had been approximated. Do you recall those photographs,
Yes.
Doctor? And when a gaping wound is approximated, what would you expect with respect to the length of the wound when approximated from the length of the wound in the gaping state?
The length of the wound in the approximate state is longer than the length of the wound in the gaping state.
Have to keep your voice up, Doctor.
The length of the wound in the approximated state is longer than the length of the wound in the gaping state.
And Doctor, did you find from your measurement in the life-size photograph that in the gaping state, the length of the wound was greater than Dr. Golden has diagrammed and indicated in the addendum from an approximated state?
Yes.
And from the standpoint of forensic pathology, does that make any sense to you?
Well, it's definitely a measurement error, but not as far as the appearance of the wound. It's a non-fatal wound. As far as the big picture goes, it doesn't have any major impact on the cause and manner of death.
Doctor, is there any significance as to whether this wound is 5/8 of an inch as you measured in the gaping state, or 1/2 inch as measured in the approximated state according to Dr. Golden on any of these big ticket questions?
No.
Why not?
As I already mentioned, it's a non-fatal wound. I've already discussed the major wounds where I've indicated the cause of death. I've indicated the blood flow pattern. I've indicated whether it's a single-edged knife or a double-edged knife which caused those wounds. I've indicated in this wound I can't tell whether it's a single-edged or a double-edged knife. So I met the requirements to give an opinion on this case. So this small difference in measurement doesn't impair my ability to give an opinion on this case.
Is there anything else you want to add? And don't forget, if you'd speak to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Is there anything else you wish to add regarding these two sharp force injuries that we've talked about from photographs B23 and B24?
No.
Your Honor, I notice the time is over. We should take a break now.
Yes, let's do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute recess. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. We'll stand in recess until 2:30. We're going to play a videotape for the parties here. Can we have a videotape, please? Thank you. This is during the doctor's testimony regarding the autopsy of Nicole Brown Simpson. All right, I think we made the point. Thank you. All right, fair warning. All right, let's have the jurors. Of our jury panel. Dr. Laxmanen is again on the witness stand. Mr. Kelberg, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, I have another board of photographs. be marked as exhibit, I think we're at 355.
D equals 355.
Doctor, again with the court's permission, and then we're going to start with these photos.
Mr. Calder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Lakshmanan, I want to begin the testimony of these photographs on Exhibit 355 by looking initially at the photographs B30 and B29 that are in the lower series of photographs. Let's start with B30. What is shown in that photograph, Doctor?
B30 shows the left hand of Ms. Nicole Brown Simpson. You can identify all coroner's photographs by the blue card. It has the case number there. And it shows the palmar aspect or the ventral aspect of the left hand and also the portion of the forearm. And there are no injuries seen in the areas which has been photographed.
Doctor, what kind of injuries, if any, in particular, would you as a forensic pathologist be looking for on the palmar surface or in the palmar area of the hand and fingers as shown in this photograph in a case involving sharp force injuries?
You would expect to see defense wounds like cuts and puncture wounds, and that's what you look for. And that is why this photograph is taken to show there is no injuries seen to the palmar aspect of the left hand.
How are defensive wounds created?
They are created when the victim uses the hand or palm of the hand to ward off any inflicting injury.
And doctor, are there common ways that forensic pathologists find victims of impending sharp force injury attack try to ward off such attack by use of the hands?
You will usually see the cuts in the palm of the hands. You can see it in the wrists and forearms sometimes, and the back of the hands.
With respect to the palms of the hands, how can those injuries be created?
One, the victim could try to hold the knife, and you would get injuries which would be consistent with it. Or sometimes when a thrust is attempted on the victim could hold up the hand to prevent the thrust hitting the vital area, so the hand could get a puncture type stab wound. So it could be a variety of types of injuries you could see on the hand, depending what the victim tried to do, if the injury pattern allows a forensic pathologist to interpret it.
Doctor, and on this left hand of Nicole Brown Simpson, the palmar side, did you find any evidence whatsoever of defensive wounds?
No.
Was the absence of defensive wounds of any significance to you as a forensic pathologist?
We only looked at the left hand.
Yes, and I want to ask you with respect to the absence of defensive wounds that you say are not present, that is the absence of them, what significance, if any, does that have to you as a forensic pathologist?
The absence of injuries to the left palmar hand shows that she did not receive any such injuries to that part of the body. So most likely she was either incapacitated or rapidly incapacitated and did not use the left upper extremity in that defense.
And if incapacitated, not just didn't use, but incapable of using that area of the hand to ward off an attack?
Yes.
Now, Doctor, does Dr. Golden, in his report protocol, address the absence of defensive wounds to the palmar surface of the left hand?
Yes.
And does he diagram in any fashion, on any of the available diagrams, the absence of such wounds?
The diagrams are blank. There's no injury described on the diagram.
Would you expect him to have a separate entry to reflect no defensive wounds noted?
He has done that.
And we'll see that on whichever is the appropriate diagram.
Yes.
Doctor, looking now on B29, what does that show?
That shows several findings. There is a linear.
We'll get the pointer. Mr. Lynch can.
There's a 3/8 inch linear cut type abrasion to the back of the left hand near the base of the left ring finger. There is a small punctate abrasion which measures 1/16 of an inch in the base of the left ring finger. There is another 1/16 inch abrasion to the middle of the middle finger, and there's also another small abrasion here to the base of the left middle finger. So the main injuries are 3 small abrasions and the small cut abrasion to the back of the left hand.
Now, Doctor, in your wound chart for Nicole Brown Simpson, which I believe is Exhibit 350, do you identify each of these injuries that you've just pointed out on this photograph B29?
Yes.
And do you do so under the description for photograph B29?
Yes.
Have you arbitrarily identified these injuries by sequential numbering?
Yes, I have.
And did you number them sequentially in the fashion in which you've just pointed them out?
Yes.
Now, Doctor, starting with what you described as the cut abrasion, which in looking at the photograph appears to be about perhaps a half an inch or so below the blue horizontally oriented measuring card, is that correct?
Yes.
What is a cut abrasion?
Basically, the
And keep your voice up, please, Doctor.
it's caused by a knife, but it could have been from the knife being drawn on the skin, wherein you have some scraping of the skin, but doesn't cause a clear-cut, deep incision wound there.
And is that something that can be caused by a single-edged knife such as you previously described?
Yes.
And is that caused by the sharp end, sharp-edged side of the blade, or the blunt end side of the blade, or what?
I would favor it being caused by a blunt edge tip of the blade,
Why?
because it's not caused a significant deep cut. It's just a superficial linear cut type abrasion.
Doctor, would you describe that cut abrasion as a defensive wound?
Yes,
Why?
because that part of the hand was trying to ward off a particular injury to the body, but only a portion of the knife struck the skin surface, so it was not, so it didn't leave a deeper cut.
Can you, using myself as one participant and yourself as the other, indicate in some fashion how that type of injury can come to be inflicted? If you use my left hand to represent that of Nicole Brown Simpson, and you play the role of the perpetrator holding a knife, how that can occur?
If I'm trying to stab you in the neck, and you try to ward your hand may not have come at the same time when I was trying to inflict the injury in the neck. So only a portion of the blunt part could have struck the hand. That's one way. And this cut abrasion could also be caused by other mechanisms.
What other mechanisms?
Where
And Mr. Sullivan, let me ask that you repeat that in reverse, because I
okay.
think the jurors on that end of the box were not able to see your demonstration.
And I didn't try and describe it for the record because I don't think I can do that very easily. But we'll try maybe better with this.
All right,
Would
Doctor,
you
I
repeat?
think you're going to have to take a step that way, because you're being shielded out by the diagram. Go ahead.
one mechanism would be when the thrust is being attempted, the hand could be raised to block the stabbing of the vital area of the body by the victim, but the knife did not strike the entire portion of the hand, only the tip of the knife grazed the surface of the skin. And that would be a mechanism by which this cut abrasion could have taken place.
And basically, Your Honor, for the record, I raised my left hand so that the back of the hand is facing Dr. Lakshmanan, who is facing me. Dr. Lakshmanan raised his right hand and made a thrusting motion in the direction of my left hand, as if to have a knife being thrust towards me.
In an overhand motion, yes.
In an overhand motion, yes.
That's one mechanism I said, but there are many other possibilities. When the knife is being wielded against this particular victim, the hand could have been injured in a similar fashion, but not necessarily when this thrust to a particular area of the body took place.
Can you explain in some fashion?
When the victim is trying to protect herself from this assault, and the knife is being wielded, you could have a similar cut, but the knife did not cause a deep cut, but just a superficial cut.
Now,
So it could be two.
talk to this side.
One way could be that when the hand was right in front, but did not get the full cut. The other way is that the hand just got a portion of the knife injury, causing a superficial cut.
Doctor, from the depiction of that cut abrasion in the photograph B29, is there any way that you, as a trained forensic pathologist, can provide a more definitive answer as to the actual positions of the perpetrator and Nicole Brown Simpson at the time that cut abrasion was inflicted?
No.
Doctor, can you determine from your review of the photograph whether that cut abrasion was in fact inflicted while Nicole Brown Simpson was alive?
Yes,
How can you do so?
because of the appearance and the coloration and the description given in the report.
Can you form an opinion as to how long from the infliction of that cut abrasion, at a minimum, Nicole Brown Simpson must have had a beating heart and blood pressure?
This happened when she was alive, and you can get this injury as early as 1 minute before death.
Doctor, starting with that cut abrasion, did Dr. Golden address that cut abrasion in his original protocol?
Yes, he did.
Did he diagram it anywhere?
Yes.
And was it addressed at all in his addendum?
Yes. No, it was not addressed in his addendum.
Was there any need, in your opinion, for it to be addressed in his addendum?
No,
Why not?
because he had addressed it properly in the original report.
Now, the second wound that you identified, or injury, I believe you referred to as a punctate abrasion.
Yes.
And we had that term on our chart yesterday, but would you refresh our recollections regarding what is a punctate abrasion?
Punctate abrasion is a very small localized area of this scraping injury.
And what, if any, causes would be possible for this particular punctate abrasion that you have identified in photograph B29?
It's a very non-specific injury.
Can you generalize as to the type of mechanisms that can lead to such a punctate abrasion?
It's a blunt force trauma against a rough surface, but also, if I recall, she was wearing a ring in the finger. The crime scene photograph. If you can go back to the...
You're going to have to keep your voice up, and we'll get the crime scene photograph out. Doctor, if you'll slide the board that's closer. I have a feeling the people that run that machine don't like to hear the sound of metal against that machine. Thank you. Let me put back up 354 and ask if you see something. We invite your attention
Yes.
to the photograph CS39.
There's a ring in that same area, and the abrasion,
Keep your voice up,
the
please.
abrasion is in the same region. So, during the altercation, if the hand had hit any particular rough surface, you could get an abrasion in relationship to that area.
Would you describe these stairs that you visited at the Bundy location as a rough surface?
Yes.
Or the walkway that is shown in a number of these photographs as a rough surface?
Yes.
Doctor, are you able to determine whether or not that punctate abrasion was inflicted while Nicole Brown Simpson was alive?
Yes.
What's your opinion on that?
She was alive
Why?
because of the appearance of the abrasion.
And is it safe to say that neither the cut abrasion nor this punctate abrasion have any significance whatsoever on the cause of death for Nicole Brown Simpson?
That is correct.
Did Dr. Golden describe in his protocol the punctate abrasion that you have pointed out on photograph B29?
Yes.
Did Dr. Golden diagram that punctate abrasion?
That was
Yes.
YouTube. That
And
was
did
the
he address
video
it at
that
all
time.
in his addendum?
That wasn't me.
It was not addressed in the addendum because there's no necessity to.
No necessity to?
Yes.
All right, doctor, and we're not marking on the photograph where these injuries are, but the punctate abrasion is on the left ring finger, is that correct?
Yes.
And it's closer to the hand than it is to the nail of that finger, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the third injury, would you point that one out again for us where it is, please, doctor?
Back of the middle phalanx or the middle of the middle finger.
And doctor, would it be accurate to say that that injury can be seen, it's in about the middle, if you look side to side of that finger, and it's a little bit closer to the nail than it is to the hand?
Yes.
What kind of injury is injury number 3?
Again, it's a non-specific blunt force injury. It's scraping against a rough surface or a contact with a focally elevated rough surface.
Did Dr. Golden address this in the protocol?
No.
Did Dr. Golden diagram this
No.
in any of the diagrams?
No.
Did Dr. Golden address this in any of the addendum?
No.
In your opinion, doctor, is his failure to do each of those 3 things a mistake?
Yes.
Is there any significance on any of these big-ticket questions for his mistakes, either singularly or all 3 together?
None.
Why not?
Because it's a non-specific abrasion, and it doesn't affect the big picture, as I already alluded to earlier in my other injury descriptions.
Are you able to tell from looking at this particular blunt force trauma the specific positions or even the relative positions, let me ask you that, the relative positions of Nicole Brown Simpson and the perpetrator at the time that injury was received?
No.
And if not the relative, then may we safely assume you cannot identify the specific positions that the 2 of them had at the time that injury was received?
That is correct.
Doctor, there was a 4th injury I believe you described.
The proximal portion of the
Keep your voice up,
it's
please.
in the base of the right middle, it's the left middle finger, and it's under a small abrasion there.
And for the record, that appears to be very close to where the finger joins the hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
And doctor, I'm sorry, that is an abrasion?
Yes.
My left
And
middle
again,
finger is
are
very
you able to
important to me.
identify the type of
I don't
source or
like it
sources
getting hurt.
responsible for that?
It's a non-specific blunt force trauma.
Received prior to death?
Yes.
Of any significance in any of the big picture questions?
No.
Was it addressed in the protocol?
No.
Was it diagrammed anywhere?
No.
Was it addressed in any of the addendum?
No.
All mistakes?
Yes.
Any significance to the mistakes?
No.
For all the same reasons?
Yes.
So we have 2 that are addressed and 2 that are not. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Let's take a quick look at the 2 that are addressed.
All right, Mr. Calvert, we'll need to move that one board, the tall board. Yes.
Can we just put it back?
Yes.
Fortunately, I think that's the only place that'll... Going to be 0B and 4B. Doctor, on the protocol, where do we find a description of injury number 1? The protocol, doctor, not the diagram.
It's on page 7.
True, Josh, jerk. Which is fine. I don't want to see him. He makes me cringe and feel all.
And where on this page is that?
It's on 6th paragraph.
That
You see the
defense
cut-
team are slime balls, though. They really are.
This right here, doctor?
I guess that's their job,
With a
to
blue
protect their
marker on it,
client.
circling that, and that is photograph B29, I believe it was.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll write B29 for that. While we're
However, how the heck can OJ not have a camera on him? He's OJ Simpson. He was a superstar. He was a next level superstar back then. So how can he think that he was going to go through a murder trial and not have a camera on him the whole time? He's lucky they pointed away from him at all. I mean, we are lucky that they pointed away from him at all.
here, what about the injury number 2?
It's on paragraph number 3.
Incidentally, I think I'll write number 1 under the B29 that I just outlined. And I'm sorry, which paragraph, doctor?
Paragraph about that.
Under left hand?
Yes.
And I'll outline that in blue also. And I'll put a line for B29 connecting to both of the paragraphs, but I'll put out number 2 for the
I have one of
top
those.
of the 2
Oh.
paragraphs, and a line connecting number 1
Sorry.
to the lower paragraph. Doctor, with respect to a diagram, is the diagram that is reflective of those injuries this Form 23? Would you show us, please, where there is any entry regarding those 2 injuries?
Here. And here.
You have to keep your voice up, please, doctor.
It's here on the back of the left hand and the back of the base of the left ring finger here.
What has Dr. Golden written with respect, if anything, with respect to the first injury that you described?
It's opening.
Just a second, let's circle this. On 20F, this is B26, and I've written that in as well. What's the next diagram, doctor?
20G. And 20H. You go to 20G. That's fine.
Incidentally, just the general location where Dr. Golden drew that injury, is that an accurate depiction of the area that's actually seen in the photograph?
Yes.
Now, 20G, why don't you show us the
I don't
It's
want,
the same injury he has diagrammed here.
I don't want to watch OJ anymore. I don't want to watch this anymore. How dare they give us a normal hand? How dare they? That's just rude. I just want to delete all these videos because stupid normal hand. I want the other one back.
And he's given the same measurement as 1.5 inches there.
Same measurement as he had given in the earlier form?
Earlier diagram, yes.
Okay, the 20F.
Yes.
And Doctor, well, let me circle this. Is the, and I'll write, I'm sorry, B26. Is the diagrammed form of the wound accurate? That is the appearance as hand-drawn accurate to how the wound actually appears in the photograph?
No.
In what fashion, perhaps you can use the pointer again, in what fashion is there a difference? We don't have the photograph up.
The wound doesn't have this forking, and it actually tapers off like a superficial incised wound here. So the wound diagramming is not accurate.
Let me just briefly put this up so the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can have a comparison.
If you look here, there's no forking, and then it tapers off on both sides.
Now you said 20H, Doctor?
Yes.
And if Mr. Lynch can... Is this the 20H?
Yes.
And this, Your Honor, is the 20H that appears to have outlines of the human skull?
Yes.
There is evidence of hemorrhage underneath this incised wound, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And I just circled to the right upper quadrant, 20H.
And on that upper right quadrant outline, I'll write B26. Incidentally, while we have this here, Doctor, in the lower left quadrant of this same form, is there some outline that reflects on one of the earlier injuries that you've identified?
Yes, that reflects the hemorrhage underneath the bruise we discussed to the right side of the head.
Is that our B20 photograph with the contusion to the scalp? You want to just bend over a second here and take a peek at the...
This is B20.
And is this writing
Yes.
to reflect what is being diagrammed here?
Yes.
Can you identify what is said in that writing, Doctor?
It's a superficial temporal, and this is SGH, which is subcardiac hemorrhage, 2 inches by 1.25 inches.
And is that consistent with what you see in the form of the contusion on the, under the scalp in the photograph B20?
Yes, but you can't see this because this is a diagram of the hemorrhage after the scalp was reflected. So this is the diagram the doctor uses to show the hemorrhage after you reflect the skin. What you saw in the other diagram was the diagram of the injury on the surface. I don't know if you saw that diagram or not, and that was diagram.
I'm going to write B20 while you're finding the particular diagram.
The diagram was 22 and 20H.
Okay.
This 20H we are covered. That is the inner. That is the documentation of the hemorrhage underneath the scalp.
Incidentally, Doctor, while we've got this up, there's some other writing here. Can you, that's between the two outlines above and the two outlines below?
What he's trying to say here is that it's deep scalp hemorrhage under the same bruise. This also belongs to the same injury, and he says there's no abrasion or laceration.
So does all of this writing that is between the upper and lower halves go to the B20?
Yes.
And I'll circle that as well and connect up to the lower diagram that we circled.
Mr. Lynch, I believe we need your help.
Thank you, Mr. Fairhope. And it's good to see that it takes 3 people from our office to get an easel to stand straight. Doctor, the other diagram is 22, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, let's get that up. We can take 20H down. Now, Doctor, where on this particular form is there a reflection of that B20 contusion?
Right there.
Perhaps we ought to use the word mention, since reflection has a specific meaning within this context.
Okay, first of all, when you say the skin is reflected, why don't you tell us what that means?
As, yesterday when I discussed the autopsy process, I said when the head is open for examination of the brain, the first process is opening up the scalp. which is reflection of the scalp skin. So when we describe an injury on the skin surface is what we see on the skin surface. Once you reflect the scalp skin away from the skull,
Again, doctor, you're using the same term we're asking you to define. Reflect means what, pull away?
pull away, and the scalp has got 5 layers. The letters itself reflect the different layers. Skin, C stands for connective tissue, and underneath the scalp, part of the scalp is a muscle called the occipitofrontalis muscle.
Excuse me, Mr. Cover, I was just getting you to try to use a different word than reflect as to the board.
All right.
That it mentions it in the report. That's all we need to do at this point.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Doctor, why don't you point out where there is any entry on Form 22? Is that satisfactory, Your Honor?
It just shows the hemorrhage on the scalp surface. It doesn't show the hemorrhage in the deep tissues as we saw it on the skull bag.
Is there any handwritten notation to go along with that particular outline that's on this Form 22?
The handwritten notation is on the 20H we already saw, and the combined effects of this description is seen on page 7, number 8.
All right, we'll get to page 7, number 8, but let me just circle this area on our Form 22, and this goes to B20. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes.
I've done that in blue marker. All right, now which page, Doctor? I'm
Page
sorry.
7, number 8.
Mr. Lynch, could we move to the protocol? Is that correct?
Now I will explain both the diagrams so it's easy to understand. 22 shows 4 inches above the right ear canal is a bruise, and you can see here on the right side of the scalp, 4 inches above the right ear canal is a scalp bruise. Now if you go to the other diagram, 20H, you can see the rest of the information which is there is been dictated to be transcribed as number 8 on page 7.
Is this the diagram you need, Doctor?
Yes. He says that this bruise was red-violet in color, scalp bruise, 1 inch by 1 inch. You can see the red-violet, purple color, 1 inch by 1 inch. Deep scalp hemorrhage, which he has diagrammed here. No abrasion or laceration. His foot skin is smooth, non-abraded, non-lacerated. Subsequent autopsy shows deep scalp hemorrhage, which is this one, which is diagrammed. And it measures 2 inches by 1 1/4 inches. I showed that, 2 inches by 1 1/4 inches. And he says that this is subgaleal. This is subgaleal hemorrhage here. And it's again shown that the wound is 4 inches above the right ear canal. So between the diagrams, you see, this is what medical examiners do, and that's why you need a pathologist to interpret the notations. We take notes on different parts of the diagram, and then when you dictate, you synthesize the data to give a composite report.
Doctor, and Your Honor, for the record, on item 8 on page 7 that the doctor was just referring to of the protocol, I'll outline that in red and mark B20. And I'll also indicate 20 form, 20H, and 22. Those are the 2 forms, Doctor?
Yes.
Anything further, well, are you able to determine, going back just for a second to B26, are you able to determine the relative positions of Ms. Brown-Simpson and the perpetrator at the time that injury was received?
No.
For all the same reasons you've given before?
Yes.
Is there anything further you wish to discuss regarding this contusion, either in the diagrams, in the protocol, or in the photograph? I think we're done with this, and we'll move back to examination of the hand photographs. I'm sorry. The addendum on the last sharp force injury, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, we'll take down the protocol, and we'll put up Form 8B from Exhibit 349, Your Honor. All right, Doctor, where in the addendum is there a reference to this particular sharp force injury that's seen in photograph B26?
Roman numeral 2, item 1, the entire paragraph, line 1 through 5 of that description was amended to read, as that paragraph states, that the wound to the scalp is 1 1/4 inches in length, diagonally oriented, superiorly it's tapered, and inferiorly it is also tapered and continues as a superficial incised wound. So basically the entire description was changed in the addendum
Doctor,
based on photographic review.
Doctor, from your review of the photograph, including the life-size photograph of that particular sharp force injury, in your opinion, does the addendum accurately describe the wound that is seen?
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'll, in the blue marker, outline this area on page 1 of the addendum and write B26 along the side.
Thank you.
Anything further, Doctor, regarding this sharp force injury? All right, I think we now are ready to move back to the photographs of the hand.
Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Doctor, let me invite your attention now to photograph B31 in the lower right corner of this array of photographs. What is shown?
Yes.
What is shown in this photograph?
B31 shows the palmar aspect of the right hand, and you can see an area of injury to the right ring finger. It's a superficial cut. The photograph is a little dark here, but there's a cut here. It's seen better in another photograph.
Which photograph is it better seen in, Doctor? If
It's,
it's one of these that is on the board.
Yes, it's seen better in B12. You can see the cut here better. Yes, you can see it better here in this.
Keep your voice up,
You
Doctor.
can see it better in B12. If you use a magnifying glass, you can see it very well.
All right, and which finger is it again?
Right ring finger, palmar aspect.
Okay. And is this, in your opinion, what you would call a defensive wound?
Yes.
And are you able to tell in any generalized fashion the manner in which that was received?
It was a defensive wound which happened when Ms. Simpson tried to defend herself when she was being stabbed.
Doctor, is there more than that one defensive wound on the palmar surface of the right hand?
No.
What, if any, significance is there for you that there is one and only one defensive wound to the palmar surface of the right hand?
This would indicate to me that she was probably rapidly incapacitated and was not able to offer much resistance,
On what do you base that?
because there's very few defense wounds in her upper extremities, because whenever you see defense wound in the upper extremities, that is the hands and forearms, that means the person was conscious and was able to defend themselves. But when you see a paucity of defense wounds, it would signify as a forensic pathologist that the person was rapidly incapacitated and was incapable of offering much resistance.
Doctor, did Dr. Golden address in his original protocol this particular defensive wound to the palmar surface of the ring finger of the right hand?
Yes, he did, but in the anatomic summary, he described it properly. But in the protocol itself, he described it in the report as index finger, but in the diagram, he has diagrammed it correctly.
All right, let's break this down. There is a reference to this defensive wound in the protocol, is that correct?
Yes,
And there is an entry on a diagram that reflects this defensive wound, is that correct?
yes,
But there is a difference between what the diagram shows and what the protocol says, is that correct?
yes.
Is either one of them accurate based upon what these two photographs, B12 and B31, show?
The diagram is accurate. The description of the wound in the protocol is wrong because it was set as index finger, but the anatomic summary reflects the injury correctly. The anatomic summary says right ring finger.
When you say the anatomic summary, what is that?
That is the front page of the autopsy report where all the injuries are summarized.
All right. Is this defensive wound one which, in your opinion, was received before death?
Yes,
And with respect to the minimum amount of time before death, would your answers be the same as they've been to the last series of wounds?
yes,
Also, that this is not a fatal wound?
that is correct.
And in the big picture of things, does this have any significance beyond its significance on the issue of a defensive wound and the absence of other defensive wounds?
No,
Anything further that we need the photograph for, either B31 or B12, for the purposes of identifying that injury?
no.
Then perhaps we can, I believe we have till 3:30, Your Honor? If we could just finish with,
Let counsel with the doctor.
Doctor, is the addendum, does the addendum include any reference to the difference between the diagram and the protocol description? I'm sorry, keep your voice up. Would you expect the addendum to include, I have to get that word out of my vocabulary, to include something to show that there was in fact this difference and to show which is the accurate identification?
Should have included.
Keep your voice up,
It
Doctor.
should have included.
And again, would that be a mistake by Dr. Golden? Significant on any of the big ticket questions?
No.
For all the same reasons?
Yes.
All right, if Mr. Lynch can put up, this is 0B. Where is there an entry on this summary that you described that accurately reflects the right ring finger defensive wound in photograph B31 and B12?
Page 1 of the autopsy report, Roman numeral 3.
And I'll outline that. And this, I'll mark B31, B12, and I'll write the word correct in the margin. Now, doctor, in the same protocol, there is an inaccurate description provided?
Yes.
Where is that?
Chinny, was it you? Who said it yesterday or the day before? No, it wasn't yesterday. Who said it a couple days ago when they said B something and they were like vitamins? Now I
Where on
can't
this
stop
page,
thinking
Dr.
about
Michelle?
vitamins when these people talk.
Paragraph number 2, right hand. It says there's a 5/8 inch incised wound on the volar surface of the right index finger.
And is volar another term to indicate the the palm of the right hand?
Palm
So-
and ventral surface of the right hand.
So these are somewhat interchangeable terms?
That's correct.
But this is the description that we're talking about?
Yes.
And I'll write again, I've circled it in red, B31, B12, and it's this particular indication of right index finger that is inaccurate.
Hi, Kelly. Hello.
And I'll write inaccurate after circling the right index finger area.
Kelly,
And
I don't
SB
want to
50.
shock you. If you just walked in, this is a murder trial, and they're actually talking about the murder today. So, prepare yourself. There's cuts and abrasions today.
Ring. Would that be accurate, doctor?
Yes.
Ring finger. All right, and you said there was a diagram that had an entry to indicate the identification of that defensive wound,
Yes. 23. Palm 23.
and I'll ask Mr. Lynch to put that up. And show us, please, doctor, where there is that indication.
It's on the right lower quadrant of the diagram here.
And doctor, is there an entry that is a written description of any type?
Yes.
What is written in there?
It says 5/8 inch tangential cut skin avulsed, and he has given a diagram of the injury here. And actually, he has described that there is some forking to the ulnar aspect, that is this aspect of the wound.
The ulnar aspect being toward the little finger side of the hand?
This side of the hand. And we have to add that paragraph also in the description here.
All right, let me first cover this whole area that I'm circling here, doctor,
Yes.
indicates the defensive wound for B31 and B12.
Yes.
And is this an accurate description?
Yes.
And I'll write accurate. Incidentally, doctor, this word defense and is it antemortem that appears there?
Yes.
To which of any of these things does that go?
Well, if all of these are antemortem wounds, so it could reflect for all of them.
I think you used the wrong term.
He did.
It would have significance to all of them?
Yes.
All right. The area that you talked about, the ulnar area of the hand, the palmar area, is also discussed in a paragraph.
Yeah, the next paragraph here.
And that area I'll outline also in red on page 7 of the protocol and draw a line to connect up also with the B12 and the B31 of the first paragraph that you've already identified. Is that description in that second paragraph accurate
Yes.
and corresponds to what Dr. Golden has diagrammed in the lower right quadrant for Form 23?
Yes.
Your Honor, would this be the appropriate time?
Yes, it would. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the afternoon. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not form any opinions about the case. Do not conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. And do not allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. As far as the jury is concerned, we'll stand in recess until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. All right, thank you, counsel. before the court with his counsel, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Chapman, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Blazer, people represented by Mr. Kelberg and Mr. Lynch. I know all these names, I'll get them. There's Mr. Dart and Mr. Fairtlow with us as well. Mr. Cochran, I suspect we need to wait for Mr. Shapiro.
Yes, let me check it out, Your Honor. Yes,
Here he is. All right, we've now been joined by Mr. Shapiro along with Dr. Wolf. Morning, counsel. Give you a second there to get seated, and we'll get...
Sorry for this light delay. Apologize.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, anything we need to take up before we invite the jurors to rejoin us?
No, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed.
Mr. Kelberg?
I agree, Your Honor.
All right, and counsel, I've asked the support staff to provide the doctor with a wireless microphone to make his presentation clear to all of us, since he's constantly turning away from somebody who needs to hear his testimony. And we'll see how that works. All right, let's have the jurors, please. Let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Dr. Laxmanan, would you please resume the witness stand, please? The record should reflect that Dr. Laxmanan is again on the witness stand under...
I can't believe we're on June 8th. Oh, who just said that? Who is it? Who is it? Yeah, Josh. I can't believe we're on June 8th, guys. Whoo. I'm going to Google again to see exactly what date the defense starts their case in chief.
You're going direct examination by Mr. Kelberg. Good morning, doctor.
Morning, sir.
You were reminded, sir, you were still under oath, and Mr. Kelberg, you may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Doctor, I believe we're going to go back to the photo board, Exhibit 355, to finish up an examination of some photographs of the hand and other areas of Nicole Brown Simpson. So, again, with the court's permission.
Yes.
And for the record, Your Honor, we did correct the entry on photograph B23 of Exhibit 352 to reflect that it is the right rather than the left side of the head.
All right, noted for the record. Thank you.
And, Your Honor, we also corrected Exhibit 354, I believe it is, the crime scene board, to show that the photographs were taken on June 13th, 1994, rather than 95 as originally depicted.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kelberg, can I see that just briefly? All right, thank you. All right, doctor, why don't you take a pointer with you? Thank you. Mr. Kelberg.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe, Doctor, we were talking yesterday about B31 and B12 with respect to the palm side of the right hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
And, Doctor, was there anything further that you needed to discuss with respect to any findings with respect to the palm surface of the right hand?
No.
Doctor, is there any photograph on this board, Exhibit 355, showing the back of the right hand?
Yes, photograph B1 shows the back of the right hand.
Doctor, would you normally expect at the time of the June 14th, 1994 photography process that a photograph similar in nature to the photograph B29 showing the back of the left hand would have been taken of the back of the right hand?
Yes.
Was any such photograph taken?
No.
Are you able, from your examination of photograph B1, to see anything of significance with respect to the back of the right hand?
There is some blood staining, but one can also see a small abrasion on the right index finger, which has been addressed in the report.
Just to set the correct sequence of events, the photograph B1 was taken on June 14th?
Yes.
And is this one of the first photographs that would have been taken in the course of the autopsy process?
Yes.
How can you tell that?
Because this is the decedent is clothed, and this is the first photograph we take in the coroner's office.
I'm going to just listen to Josh because, listen, when you look up facts about the OJ case online, there's completely different facts no matter where you look. So we say things in chat like this happened, but then when you go look up for more information, that didn't happen, but it happened differently or blah, 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 blah. So we're not looking at June, we're looking at July 6th. But that's okay. Look, we're cruising past June. Like, we're already on June 8th. So we'll get there.
Doctor, does this photograph represent fairly and accurately the condition of Nicole Brown Simpson as you saw her initially on June 13th, the day earlier?
More or less.
What is the more and what is the less?
Because I saw her when she was lying on her back in the gurney when she was brought to the office. Right now she's been propped up on her side.
Doctor, even though I think you have a wireless microphone provided by the court, you may be dropping your voice, and it's still, I think, somewhat difficult to hear you.
But otherwise it's the same person.
Yeah.
And the dress is, the clothing is the same which I saw on June 13th.
On June 13th, did you examine the back of the right hand to see whether or not there were any injuries, wounds, or matters of consequence to you as a forensic pathologist?
I didn't do a detailed examination of the body. I only saw the major wound, which is to the neck, which has been discussed. And my purpose was to just get an idea about the two dissidents who were brought to our office, and also assign the criminalist to examine the remains and assign a medical examiner. I didn't examine in detail.
Doctor, the abrasion that you identify on the back of the right hand, again, its location as seen in photograph B1.
It's in the right index finger here.
Can you be any more specific where on
It's-
the right index finger
It's
that
in the base of the right index.
Doctor, if you'll remember to wait until I finish my question, I'll try and remember to wait until you finish your answer, and I have a feeling the court reporter will be very happy with both of us.
Yes.
I'm sorry, where on the index finger?
The base of the right index finger here.
And when you say base, could you point on your own, showing it to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the area that you see in that photograph?
Somewhere here.
You keep your voice up, Doctor.
Somewhere here, in the pointing to my index finger here.
And, Your Honor, where the finger appears to join the hand. Now, Doctor, that abrasion, are you able to tell from an examination of the photograph as to whether it was received before, at or around the time of, or after death?
It was an antemortem abrasion.
How are you able to tell?
By the appearance and color, because I examined it with a magnifying glass.
By the way, you had a magnifying glass, I think, over the last couple of days that you have pulled out. Is a magnifying glass one of the tools of the trade of a forensic pathologist?
Yes.
How is it used by a forensic pathologist?
When you examine wounds, when you examine photographs, it's sometimes, not sometimes, it's a good habit to look at the wounds carefully. This way you see any minor, even the minor irregularities on a wound margin, and also if the wound is small, it helps you to understand the features better.
Doctor, from what you observed in that abrasion on photograph B1, do you have any opinion as to the manner in which that abrasion was received by Nicole Brown Simpson?
It's a non-specific blunt force trauma.
Which means what?
Well, it's a blunt force injury. It doesn't have any pattern. It doesn't have any specifics to it. It could occur in the same manner the abrasions to the left hand happen, contact with any rough surface.
Doctor, does that abrasion play any consequence in any of the big picture questions that you've been asked to evaluate and about which you have testified to during the course of your presentation here?
No.
Doctor, as long as we're on this photograph B1, in fact, before I move to that other area, did Dr. Golden address that abrasion in any way in his original protocol?
Yes, he did.
Did he diagram it in any way?
Yes, he did.
Does it also get addressed in any addendum?
No.
Doctor, is there anything that you observed of significance between the description in the protocol and the diagram and the photograph showing
That's
the actual
beautiful,
abrasion?
Josh. That's beautiful.
The diagram accurately reflects the injury, but the description, it was erroneously described as ring finger.
Let me take the photos down and let's go and see the actual protocol and diagram. I don't think we're going to lean this up against here. This is one we have to move back. If we could ask counsel and the doctors to switch places with us. we're going to put up boards 0B and 4B from our group 349, Your Honor.
Noted. Thank you.
Noted, thank you. Noted. All right, guys. We did our 2 hours today. We got partway into June 8th. Let's go. Let's go. We had actual crime today. Not dogs, not treats, not ice cream, not none of that bull. We had actual cuts and abrasions and contusions and brain matter. So, listen, we're going to do this again tomorrow. So I hope to see you then. Thank you so much for coming out. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys.